Hello! In this video, we will help you understand how to mount building blocks correctly on the breadboard. Here is the image that we will use to learn the same. Breadboard carries alphabets and numbers on it to form a grid for error-free mounting of the components. We have the physical diagram, circuit diagram, and the real hardware for comparison. If you analyze the circuit diagram, it has the power supply. It takes power to two paths. One is path 1 and another is path 2. So, in this path, the LED will glow. And in this path, the motor is operational when this button is pressed. We have understood from the previous video that the top line is the positive line and the bottom line is the negative line. From the positive line, it comes here, and when the switch is pressed, it connects from this point to this point. And since all these points are interconnected, the current flows from here to here, and then goes to the jumper wire, and then comes to the motor point, and the other point of the motor goes to the negative. This is the negative line, and in the process, when you press it, the motor runs or the fan rotates. This is the basic understanding of the circuit diagram. The important part is placing the building block in the right slot. What do you notice here? Since these points are all interconnected, make sure that this pin goes at the same line of this, and this pin goes at the same line of this. This is what is very important. Similarly, this pin goes in this line, and this pin goes in this line. Though this is a connector where positive is connected here and negative is connected here. The negative is not actually used since it's a building block. And this also is a connector, similarly used to join the positive and negative lines in the breadboard to receive the power. So here is the same type of circuit where instead of a switch, we have a buzzer. What we notice is that this buzzer is directly connected to positive. Through this connector, the current flows to the positive point of the buzzer. Negative point goes to the negative, and the moment power is given, the buzzer starts to sound. You can see this from the positive. The current goes to the buzzer. It comes here and then to the negative. LED, as we had discussed before, the current flows here and the LED glows. So, this has got how many paths? 1, 2, 3, and 4. We also have another LED, a little larger size LED that also glows. How? Positive comes here this way. Negative goes here in this line to the negative. Because this and this is joined, the line becomes negative. We have discussed this before. And the motor also runs. How? The positive comes from here to this line and then goes to the motor point. From the other motor point, it goes to the negative. Once we apply the power, this, all the three start working. This glows, this also glows slightly, fan blade rotates, and the buzzer sounds. This is exactly following the entire circuit diagram that we had seen here. Let's see another example where we have a switch, we have a transistor, then we have a buzzer, and of course, the power and the power indicating LED. This is the circuit diagram, where we have the power supply, and the power supply goes to the switch. We have a switch here then. It goes to the resistance point of the transistor block. The transistor block has got 4 points. We will see that a little later. And the buzzer is connected in series with the transistor. That is from positive. The current flows through the buzzer and through the collector point. It goes here. And once the current flows in this direction, as discussed earlier, the transistor acts as a closed switch. The current flows in this direction, and that is how the buzzer sounds. And this, of course, the power indicator. The moment we apply power, the LED starts glowing. Now, it is important to notice how the buzzer is connected. Let's tilt the buzzer a little and see it in a larger view, so you can watch exactly how it is connected. Now, this wire comes here, and since all these points are the same or interconnected, this pin of the buzzer is mounted here. And similarly, these points are also the same. So this pin of the buzzer is connected to this point. So the connection comes here and establishes through the buzzer the final connection here. And now let's see the circuit operation. The current from the power supply goes to the switch, the resistor, the transistor here as we discussed, and how the current flows through the switch. It goes to the resistance point here, and from the collector point, it goes to the buzzer in both circuit and hardware. And the negative point is connected to the emitter. This side is the emitter, this being the negative point. One has to ensure that these are all in the same line so that the connections are established correctly. Let's see the same one more elaborately. We have the slide switch here. This point is the dummy point. This is not used. This is the point which is getting connected to the positive. The positive is coming from here, from this line. The positive is coming and it reaches here. Once you operate the switch, it reaches here. And from here, it reaches here. From here, it goes to the resistance point. This is the resistance point. It goes to the resistance. And this is the collector point. C is written here. And from the collector point, it goes to the buzzer point. If we look at the detailed magnified placement of the block, what we notice here is positive comes to the positive point of the buzzer, negative point goes to the collector of the transistor. This is the positive point. This is a positive point, and this is a positive point. As we have seen, positive is marked here and here. This is positive. The positive point comes here, and it is important to watch that this point and this point are in the same line. It can go here, it can go here, but it has to be in the same line. Now, positive comes here, and then it passes to the buzzer. The negative point of the buzzer goes to the collector. Negative point of the buzzer goes to the collector. You see the collector written here, and the emitter is grounded. So, whenever there is a current flow in this direction, the buzzer sounds through the transistor. So, the most important part is to ensure that these connections are in line, and the same applies for these 2 points. These are all connectors, and the positive is marked here. Positive reaches this point. This point is a dummy point. Once we operate the switch, positive comes here and then reaches here, travels from here and reaches the resistance point. This positive goes here. Through the switch, it goes to the resistance point. The resistance is internally connected to the base, and the emitter is connected to ground. The point is the emitter, which is connected to the ground. This is the collector point, which goes to the negative point of the buzzer. The negative is connected to the collector. And ultimately, this, since this line and this line are the same, it gets positive from here. So how does the current flow? It starts from positive, enters here through the buzzer, through the transistor, and to the ground. Only when there is a current flowing in the base, only when there is a current flowing in the base, this current flows in this direction and the buzzer sounds. The important part is to ensure that these connections are in the proper slot. If you shift this a little to this side or the other, there will be problems in connection and it will not work. The same applies for this and this. Besides the numbering concept which we follow, double check whether the connections are made properly. All this has to be ensured for satisfactory operation of the circuit.